On today's Warehouse Safety Tips Wednesday, we'll be covering staying grounded, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. Now, if you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money and each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the podcast. If you're fortunate enough to live and work in a location that's warm year-round, then you can disregard the weather portion of this podcast. But there's still a lot of info that applies to all climates. Locations experiencing the snow and ice that comes with this time of the year probably know what's coming. You'll notice the title of our podcast today is Stay Grounded. We titled it that because slipping and or falling on wet surfaces is no joke. We've covered this topic before, but it's one that needs regular reminding. Emergency room visits exceed 8 million per year due to falls. And of those falls, approximately 12% are slip and fall accidents. Now, what does that mean for facilities? Of course, the loss of safety for its staff, but also lost time and money, and it can be avoided. Whether it's because of staff tracking in snow and ice, spills, leaking machinery, condensation, or any other reasons for an area being slippery, there's a way to lessen or warn for it. Here are just a few to get you started. If you do have snow and ice where you're at, stamp and wipe your shoes or boots at entrances. Have mats at entrances and areas that get slick. Make sure that there's floor markings or signs alerting staff that areas are slick. Use floor markings or signs with non-slip properties. Have fans or heaters that keep areas dry. And have maintenance regularly mop slick areas and of course alert staff of it. Now, there are many more ways to avoid slip and falls, but really it comes down to two things. Pay attention to your surroundings and make sure that surfaces are as safe as possible. If you do that, you'll increase your chances of staying grounded and, most importantly, staying safe. Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips and have a safe day.